So, Joe, the ACC Championship game, which, boy, I hate that I have to say this. Miami, I hate you. I hate you. Because I picked you to be in this game, and you're not there. But SMU versus Clemson in the ACC Championship game, Joe, how do you see this one playing out?
I was pretty stunned when I was digging into the stats here to discover the potential huge advantage that SMU is going to have going up against this Clemson team. Now, I think this game, another matchup that will likely be close, but SMU has been super dangerous through the air. They have been super dangerous on defense. They have been quietly one of the best defenses in the country, albeit not going up against like a super hard schedule. Clemson's performance against South Carolina last week makes me feel that they are built and able to go toe-to-toe with a team like SMU. And they've just got the NFL premier athletes on their defensive line, at linebacker, in their defensive backfield. And if Klubnik plays the way that he did and they can produce just a little bit more in the run game, that they should be able to win this football game. But what gives me pause is that SMU has been tremendously hot. We haven't given them a ton of love because they haven't exactly had premier ranked matchups that have allowed us to go under the microscope and talk about them. But Kevin Jennings, this passing attack, shout out to Derek King, who's the quarterback coach there, who's been leading the production here for this SMU team. They have the ability to spread out Clemson and to put up points in bunches, because we have at the same time seen Clemson have a lot of shakiness on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. See, I got to push back on the biggest advantage in the game here. Clemson has the biggest advantage.
What is that?
SMU secondary is not good at all. And if I know that K. Klubnik can do what he did to a secondary in the SEC that I just saw him do, and Joe, it's not like we're talking about the SEC's mid-level secondary. This secondary for South Carolina got dudes on it.
They're weak at corner and they've got really good safeties. But they're better. But they're better than what SMU has. Yeah.
Oh, are they? Okay. SMU is 85th in the country in passing yards allowed. So when I look at SMU, I say to myself, look, everything that you've done this year. By the way, when we previewed SMU, they were me and your dark horse to make the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
It's not as if that we thought that that SMU would just come out of the ether. We both predicted. By the way, both of us had them finishing third in the ACC in the beginning of the year. So it's not as if that me and you don't trust or believe in SMU. But I promise you, though, this Clemson offense that has had struggles, Joe, they're offensively, they can throw the ball around. They can move the ball on you. And Joe, I got to be real with you here. I don't know if SMU is going to be able – I can't believe I'm about to say this. I don't know if they're going to be able to slow – that secondary can slow down this passing attack. They are that bad. They have been that bad. They have allowed bad teams to move the ball on them through the air. I know that everybody wants to dunk on Dabo. I get it. But, man, I don't know if I think Clemson's got better overall athletes up front on both lines of scrimmage. I do think that they have the better secondary, and I do think that they have the better linebacking core. Now, you can make individual lies like Robinson. You can say that he's a premier guy. But, Joe, that secondary's been getting cooked by mid-level opponents. Cooked.
Okay. Where I agree with you, SMU's offensive line has not been steady for them. They're 82nd in havoc rate allowed, meaning tackles for loss, sacks. They've given up.
It's not going to bode well.
It's not going to bode well. But this season, SMU has been extremely disruptive. They're 17th in havoc rate. They've got 37 sacks in the season. Jafari Harvey, Isaiah Smith, Elijah Roberts. They have a number of different guys that have registered over 4 sacks. They've got 5 different guys that have over 4 sacks this season. So I don't think that this Clemson offensive line has been overhyped. Coming into the year, Trey Zune, Blake Miller were supposed to be really good tackles, and they have not lived up to that expectation. I believe that they are going to be able to get home. I think that is what could win SMU the football game, is that diverse group, and that is what has helped them survive despite not having a very consistent secondary, giving up the passing yards that they've allowed. So if they can get home and they can be disruptive up the middle and along their defensive line, that's where I lean SMU in this situation. This is another one that I think is going to be super close. Like I don't see a de facto answer, but I lean slightly SMU at this current moment.
I know that Klubnik got out of a lot of bad situations, but I'm coming off a Clemson game against South Carolina where they allowed a sack. And by the way, it's not as if they allowed a sack. I mean, Joe, they sent an all-out blitz. I mean, Kennard, who may be the best edge rusher or arguably one of the best edge rushers in the SEC, couldn't get home effectively enough. And then the freshman DN. I want to say it's not Carlton.
Dylan Stewart.
Dylan Stewart, number 6, who couldn't get home. I'm thinking to myself, Joe, they were good enough last week. They're not facing dudes like that this week. They're not. Now, what you could say is maybe having a more of an athlete at quarterback. We saw what Sellers did to them last week. I'm with you. But, man, Joe, I got to disagree. I think Clemson's going to go in there and torch that secondary. I think I'm just in a place where I need to see SMU come into the ACC and win this thing. Now, you know I love Rhett Lashley.
Yeah.
Love him to death. And would tell him this if I had to. If you don't hold on to the football in this game and make this game close, I don't know how much of a shot they have. I really don't. That secondary is about to get cooked, brother. It's going to get bad. So when I look at SMU too, there's a lot of things that they do well that would really worry me if I'm Clemson. Okay? They can run the ball effectively. They can move the ball effectively. Their run defense has been good. Okay, they're 4th in the country in run defense. So I know that they've had areas. I know that they've been good in a lot of areas. I'm not saying that this is going to be bad in the sense of that they're blown out. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is Klubnik has progressed. Like he's vehemently progressed. And so I just think that it's such a massive advantage for Clemson here that I don't know, man. Maybe it's a 3 to 7 point game. That's where I would have it.
Right.
But I just think when Klubnik's got to have the play, I don't think that this secondary, who's been anemic all year, is going to be able to give it up.
Klubnik's been great down the stretch. Kevin Jennings has also been great. You bring up something that maybe sways me back to Clemson now that I'm saying this out loud. Clemson's been tested more than SMU has. And being tested is one of the most important things, in my opinion, in college football that doesn't get talked about enough. Forget the crap strength schedule. That's not what I'm getting at here. Just opportunities where you faced adversity. How did you play in those situations? And Clemson gets punched in the mouth against Georgia. They reset, they recalibrate, they go on a tear. They lose to Louisville, which was an embarrassing loss.
Yep.
They try to finish the season as strong as they can. And they have South Carolina, one of the hottest teams in the country, on the ropes to the point where they were going to win it if it wasn't for that turnover that they had late on that final drive. What game am I supposed to point to that is like a really difficult challenge that SMU overcame? Is it Duke, who they should have lost because they turned the ball over a ridiculous amount of times? Is it Pitt, who was unjustifiably ranked as high as they were? Is it Louisville, who petered out at the end of the season? I don't see a spot here that really gives me the context to believe that SMU has what it takes to win in a game like this. And it's not me trying to be like super negative and saying like SMU's they're effed. They can't win this football game. It's part of the reality of a former G5 team in their first ever season getting to the ACC Championship game, stepping into a matchup, everybody being all hyped up and thinking like, wow, this would be so cool. And then waiting on the other side is Dabo Swinney, who's won a national championship, gets his guys ready.
Dude,
they win the football game. Sorry, 2 in multiple ACC championship games and ran the damn conference.
He's won like 4 or 5 of those, 6 of those.
As much as I rag on Dabo, if there is a coach that gets his team ready for this matchup, it's Dabo.
I ain't gonna say that. Rhett's gonna have his boys ready to play. But Joe, here's another problem. They have had issues, meaning SMU, running the football against mid-level opponents. Right? Like, I mean, mid-level ACC opponents. This is by far the best D-line in front 7 that you have seen. Like,
well, but the problem is though is that Clemson's gotten ran all over though in the in stretches of the season.
You say that, but then Raheem Sanders can't get over 3.5 yards a carry. But okay, so who ran on him?
Well,
hold on. Lenore Sellers went full Cam Newton in a game.
Yeah.
Okay, he had 166 yards. Joe, I mean, arguably the best back in the SEC couldn't get going.
But Kevin Jennings is not he's not. I'm not saying it's Lenore Sellers, but he's also a really good athlete that's hard to tackle.
Not ignoring that. Not ignoring that. Okay, but he's been that way against other opponents too. Right, like he's been that way against lesser opponents. Let's be real about Sellers in one thing. He had 2 massive 35-yard runs for touchdowns, or 1 for a touchdown. The dude went off. I think he's playing I'm not going down that rabbit hole, okay? But I look at this in this situation and say, you're right. Russell can go off. He's got to scramble to do it, and I'm with you. Still does not stop them getting torched in their secondary. Listen, man, you better be ready for a 3-loss Clemson to get automatic bye. It's going down. I promise you, Joe, it's the most confident of it. You know I'm going to say this, and this is going to be the one game that I lose, okay? It's the most confident of bowl week than I am. I mean, of championship week than I am. I think Clemson's going to get it done, and they're going to be in the playoff.
All right. You know what? Now that we've talked this through, I think Clemson's going to win too.
I just changed your mind?
No. This was one of those previews where we were talking it through, and I didn't really have a clean pick. You didn't sway me.
No.
Stop it.
Hold on.
Didn't sway me.
The replay would say that, now that you have said that, it makes
but while you were talking, I was looking some things up.
No, that's bullshit. You heard my fantastic argument and you changed your pick.
No. I'm not giving you that.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.